This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV in association with MCK Global and Everlast. I'm here in Dubai with Mr. Carl Frampton as he bids to create history this weekend. In your opinion, when you become Ireland's first ever three-wet world champion, it's going to happen?
I genuinely believe it's going to happen. I don't know, it's just something different. I'm full of confidence about this fight. I'm visualising what's going to happen on the night. And not once have I ever seen Jamel Herring's hand get raised at the end. So I just feel like if I continue to do what I've been doing in the gym and in sparring, I'll win the fight. Simple as that.
Let's start with what this fight means, not for only for yourself, but the UK and Ireland. With the nation's hopes on you and so much at stake here, are you feeling that extra bit of pressure where also you're cementing your legacy in this fight as well?
I think there's pressure on both of us in this fight for a couple of reasons. One reason, I think the loser retires, so there's pressure there. I've openly stated that if I retire, or if I lose this fight, I will retire. But people are taking that as a kind of negative thing to say. I'm not planning on losing this fight. I'm going to win this fight. But what I'm saying is I don't want to have to go round the houses at 30 years old to get myself in the position to box for another world title. I only want to be involved in big fights. I want to win a world title. After the Warrington fight, I sat down with my family, spoke to them and said, I believe I can win another world title, and that's what I'm going to continue to do it for. So if I lose to Jamel Herring, what's the chances of getting another shot? So there's pressure in that sense. But, I've got a lot of people support me. A lot of people backing me, and my legacy in this fight, it's bigger than Jamel Herring's. Like, the fight it's billed as legacy. If Jamel Herring was fighting someone else, the bill wouldn't be called legacy. So it's all kind of, it's shaped around me, to be honest. We're out here in Dubai. He's the champion, but this bill is shaped around me, and everything's falling into place, and I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure my hand's raised at the end. Like, I've just got I'm feeling going on a bit here. One track minded, like I would run through a wall to win this fight.
Right, I was going to come on to that about the mental toughness of yourself and Jamel. We've heard so much in the build-up to this about Jamel being a former US Marine, and of course that comes with so much mental pressure and toughness, etc. But in terms of boxing capacity, his fight with Jonathan Oquendo, of course, perhaps people might say we saw some weakness mentally. Do you think you're just willing to go extra places that perhaps from that fight with Oquendo, Jamel might not be?
I absolutely believe it, and no doubt in the past, and Jamel has had a pretty tough life, and he's obviously had to be mentally tough to get through some of the, not just in boxing, but some of the situations that he's had, and the heartbreaking, terrible incident of his young daughter, Dan, that's got to be heartbreaking for anybody. And my heart goes out to him and his wife, that they've had to endure that. So he's been mentally tough in the past, of course, to overcome stuff like that. But he showed a form of weakness in his last fight, certainly against Jonathan Oquendo. Now, in saying that, he's been tough before, so just because he showed a mental weakness his last fight doesn't mean this fight he's going to be mentally weak again. So I got to expect a mentally tough Jamel Herring, but I've never showed an ounce of mental weakness in my career at all. Even in 2 defeats, I fought my heart out right to the end, and yeah, I just don't have any of that in me. I'll fight right to the end.
Prize fighters such as yourself, guys who've been at the top of the game, do often admit on camera as well that for certain fights like this one on the weekend, you just see an extra edge in them. Perhaps maybe in the Tyler McCreary camp and the Darren Trainer camp, you were trying your best, but there was just perhaps a little edge missing because there wasn't too much at stake. Yeah. Do you feel like there's a different edge to Carl Frampton this time round?
Yeah, most definitely. This is a huge fight. Them fights were small fights. In the McCreary fight, I went into the fight with a broken left hand. I broke my right hand about 6 or 7 rounds in, so that obviously had a lot of an effect. No disrespect to Tyler McCreary, but with 2 good hands, I think I would have stopped him in the first half, if I'm being honest. I wasn't able to apply the pressure that I wanted because every time I hit him, it hurt me. Darren Trainer, again, without sounding disrespectful, a couple of levels below me, and I didn't want to. The only thing I was worried about was being complacent going into the fight, and I didn't want to get complacent. But when I felt his power in the first round, I just fell into that complacency trap and struggled to get out of second gear. But this fight is so different. It's a legacy-defining fight. It's a history-making fight. History-making fight in the fact that I will become the first man on the island of Ireland to win world titles in 3 divisions. One of the only Brits to ever do it. And I just found out the other day this is the first world title fight ever in Dubai. So it's another bit of history to be made, and I intend to do it.
You're a very humble guy. You're one of the nice guys in boxing. People in the sport will vouch for that. Do you have to separate what we're talking about right now and just focus on the task at hand, which is the fight with Jamel Herring? Because you might get caught up in all this history-making stuff, and you are creating a ridiculous amount of history just participating in the event. But if you were to win, it'd go down not even in Irish boxing history and British boxing history, but world boxing history. Do you soak that up on this fight week, or are you separating that out of your mind?
No, I don't know. I'm really focused on the fight. I suppose I'm reveling in all that sort of glory that will come after it, and I feel good about it. But I can use that to inspire me to make sure I win this fight. And the main objective for me really in the fight is to stay disciplined throughout the fight, make the correct decisions like I've been doing in sparring. But discipline is the key for me winning this fight. And if I'm disciplined and do as I'm told by my corner, which I haven't done, or I didn't do certainly in the Josh Warrington fight, I will win this fight. And I can win it convincingly as well. I genuinely believe that.
We will talk about how the fight goes, in your opinion, in a minute. Just to finish off on what this fight means, I think all people will say, if you do this on Saturday night, you go down as Ireland's greatest ever fight. I'm sure you see it that way as well, Carl.
Yeah, look, obviously, people have me in the discussion for that already, but I would never say it until I win this fight. And I think as a 3-weight world champion, I would happily call myself the greatest fighter that's ever came from Ireland, which is, it's humongous, isn't it? Really, it's huge. But if I win this fight, which I intend to do, I will win this fight, and when I do, I'd be happy to call myself Ireland's best ever.
So how long were you retired after that Josh Warrington loss?
For about 2 weeks in my head, like I was a retired fighter. I hadn't made any public statement or anything, but in my head I was retired. And once I got over the initial hurt of the loss, I sat down with my wife, my kids, my family, my team. There was an approach from Top Rank as well, which was amazing. MTK obviously helped out a lot there, and I just thought that wasn't me, and it would be a shame to end what's been an amazing career so far on a night like that, because it just wasn't me. If I had have got beat up in camp, previous to the Josh Warrington fight, and had a bad camp and didn't look good, I'd have retired, I think. But I had a really good camp, and I was prepared to win the fight, and I just got it wrong on the night. And that's things that happen at the top end of sport. Josh was good on the night. I wasn't as good as it can be, and Josh won the fight convincingly. So, but this is the very high end of elite sport, and you win some, you lose some. So when I got the grasp of that, thought about it rationally, I knew I could win a world title, and with the power of Top Rank behind me and MTK as well, pulling strings, I'm very, very close to doing it.
And I'm guessing to become 3-weight world champion, that was part of coming back as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a discussion at the start, and Jamel Herring was a fighter that has been targeted after the Warrington defeat by MTK, by Top Rank, and I feel like, that's part of the reason for the big comeback.
Well, we're all glad it's finally happening. Let's talk about Dubai as well for a second. Of course, you've been out here for 3 or 4 weeks. You've acclimatised. Not that there's much difference, only 3 or 4 hours between here and the UK. Now, he's from Colorado in the States. That's where he trains. There's a 10-hour difference, and he, I believe, only came in on Saturday, which is 3 or 4 days ago. Not that you are planning on banking on that anyways, but do you believe that's going to make a difference to the outcome?
Yeah, well, it's a big mistake from them, certainly. I think that he should have been in here before me. It took me a full week to get over 4 hour time difference. So 10 hours, I thought it was 11 hours, maybe 10, you might be right, I'm not sure. But, they say a day for every hour of time difference, so it doesn't even give him enough time for that. He arrived in here at 10 o'clock on Saturday night, and he posted stuff on his social media channels of him training at 12 o'clock. Now, if I'm travelling for 24 hours, I'm not going to the gym as soon as I land. And people say, he's so dedicated, and he is dedicated, but he wouldn't have wanted to train, but he had to train. And that's the thing, the difference between me and him this week is I can afford to take it easy and relax and do my calories by walking around, having coffees, chilling out in the sun, rather than stress my body to get ready to fight. And that could be an important factor in how this fight plays out. He arrived here on Saturday night. I think he's done, what day are we, Wednesday? He's done 6 or 7 sessions. I've done 1 since he's got here, so that could be the difference.
Well, I haven't seen him in person yet.
Neither have I.
Oh, you haven't?
Because he's always in the gym. So I've never seen him because I'm not in the gym. So I've seen his team around, but I think he's either in the gym or sleeping. That's what he's doing. So I haven't seen him yet.
Has anyone from your team seen him and they believe that he might be struggling out the weight?
Everyone's seen him except me. But look, I can't play too much into that because, he's clearly a dedicated athlete. He's clearly fully focused on making the weight, and he's always made the weight. Something that I can't say I've done. I missed the weight once by a pound, didn't I? So Herring is extremely dedicated. I do think it's a mistake that he came out late. But look, I gotta expect the absolute best, the best of him. And thing is, I respect this guy. I do respect him. I haven't shown disrespect to him in the lead up to this. There's been some things I've said, I'm being honest, but the things that I've said sometimes have annoyed him for whatever reason, and maybe his team sometimes, but I'm just being honest. I have the utmost respect for Jamel Herring and his team, but the respect goes out the window when you fight, and I'll do whatever it takes to win.
And I'm guessing you're more comfortable here rather than being over in this country in the States. Of course, you like it in the UK, but we don't have fans anyways at the moment. So I think it's fair to say you perhaps, with the time difference as well, have an upper hand with the fight being in Dubai. Yeah,
absolutely. I much prefer this than the States, definitely. Not the States, sorry. I much prefer this in London because, you can get out here. There's going to be a small crowd, I think 100 VIPs, so there's going to be some people, or hopefully they're noisy and they make a bit of noise. But just the fact that you can get out in the sunshine and walk around. London and the UK is pretty much shut up shop for the meantime. I wouldn't have minded America if we could have done it in America with a crowd. Wouldn't have minded that, genuinely. But
that's his home patch as well.
It's his home patch, but I don't care. If we could have done a crowd in America, East Coast, I know he's from the East Coast, I'm confident that I'll have more support than him. So, it doesn't matter. It's in Dubai now anyway, and I'm glad it is. First world title fight in Dubai, another bit of history to be made. And like I keep saying, it's just all falling into place and coming together.
Well, I'm guessing in those 100 tickets, there will be a few of your fans there. We saw a nice welcome for you at the airport when you came here from some guys dressed in Northern Ireland tops. But have you felt the support on social media from the UK and Ireland? I'm sure you have.
Look, it's massive. I've made this kind of pact with myself that I'm not going to look at social media as too much because obviously I love the support and I like the support that I'm getting. But if someone else kind of looking after that for me he has been for the last few weeks. But opinions of people on social media, whether they're positive or negative, shouldn't affect the outcome of the fight. And I'm not going to let them get me, you read positive comments. I've done this in the past, and you read them and you scroll past them and it's nice. You get 20 positive ones and you see one dickhead giving you grief and it annoys you for a couple of minutes. I just don't need that. So I've taken a wee bit of a social media sabbatical, and it seems to be going well.
Well, it's a shame, as I said, in your opinion, when you do this on Saturday night, that you can't go back home and support with your fans. But I'm sure you'll be buzzing to see your family and spend some time at home anyway.
Yeah, look, I can't wait to go back home, see the kids, see my wife, and give them all a big hug. You know, I've been away for a long time. Don't like to be away, especially under the circumstances at home. It's hard for my wife looking after two kids. She can't even, she can't get a break. She can't go out for a meal with her friends or anything. It's just constantly looking after the kids, which she enjoys to do. She's an amazing mother, but she's literally not had a break for I don't know how long. So, can't wait to get home and just see them all and let her chill for a while.
Carl, you definitely do not want to look past this Saturday night, an absolutely huge occasion, and your focus is fully on that. I will just ask one thing. If it goes your way on Saturday night, we've seen Shakur Stevenson say he'd be open to this fight with yourself. If you do it on Saturday night, are we going to see Frampton Stevenson?
Potentially. That's a huge fight. He's the mandatory, isn't he? So it would have to be the fight unless something else happens. But a fight with Oscar Valdez, another fight that excites me. But again, just one fight at a time and fully focused on Jamel Herring. And once I beat this guy, then we can talk about Shakur or Oscar or whoever else.
That is only fair enough. Let's give a quick mention to D4G as well, putting this event on in Dubai, and also Everlast sponsoring this event. We'll come on to Everlast in a second, but fantastic work from MTK, Top Rank, but obviously D4G leading this event and making moves in Dubai here. Yeah,
look, I've got to thank everybody involved. There was a while there, this fight's been talked about for so long and we didn't really know what was going on and what was happening, so I have to give D4G a lot of credit. MTK as well. MTK pulled some power moves in us by even signing Jamel Herring when it looked like the fight was going to fall through at a point. So MTK and obviously Top Rank as well, because me and Jamel are affiliated with Top Rank, and all the people involved in making this fight, I owe them a lot. I should win the fight for them. That's what I should do. A lot of people have worked very hard to make sure I get this fight, and that's up to me to make sure that I win the fight and prove them all right.
Carl, a lot's been made in the build-up about Jamel's size. Now, in the fights with McCreary and Trainer, and since really your link up with Jamel and Nigel Travis, I've seen you being more apparent with your body work and relying on that a little bit more and just going to the body more. With Jamel's big frame and big target, without giving too much away, is that going to be a big key for victory on Saturday night?
Look, it's a simple man would be able to tell you. It's got to be a target for me. I'm a lot shorter than him. He's a bigger guy. It's a huge target for me. And but I've been working on perfecting my body punching and my attacks to the body ever since I teamed up with Jamie Moore and Nigel. And it's something that previous to teaming up with them, I'd stopped one guy, Jeremy Parody, with a body shot in 24 fights, something like that. Never dropped anyone else. Parody was the only one I ever done with a body shot. So it's almost nice in the team up with Jamie. I'm surprised if I don't do somebody with a body shot, hurt them or drop them. So obviously that's been something that I've been working on. And but when you start hurting the body, some people leave the head exposed, So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Do you watch any fighters and their body work and kind of take things from them?
I've been watching loads of Canelo recently. Loads of Canelo. And not just about that, but just how well he deals with taller fighters. And he's a master of boxing. And he just finds a way, doesn't he? And it's all to do with head movement and how he moves his head. What a fighter. But I've been watching loads of him recently.
Have you seen Josh Warrington and Scott Quigg's comments about you?
No. What are they? I seen Josh Warrington saying something really nice, yeah. I haven't seen what Quigg says.
Well, along the same lines, really like praising you as a person and wishing you the best at a Saturday night. That's nice to see from former opponents and once former rivals, of course.
Yeah, look, it is nice. And that's the thing. Once you share the ring with another man for 12 rounds, you just gain a new respect for them. And me and Josh, it's clear to see it, that we've had a respect for each other since that fight. And obviously me and Scott, we had a big rivalry, and there was a lot of tension in between the camps. But I've met Scott a few times, and nice guy, and I wish him well in the future, whatever he does. Hard for me to watch both their fights against Lara and against John O'Carroll for Scott Quigg, because they're better fighters than that, And it's hard for me to watch it. And yeah, they're good guys and all that stuff. And there was no stuff really between me and Warrington, but any animosity between me and Quigg is finished now. It's gone.
Quick word then on Everlast, who last week announced they were going to sign 52 boxers and put a commitment towards boxing, put money into the sport. Of course, they're sponsoring your fight this Saturday night as well. When things like that happen for the sport of boxing, it can only be good, can't it, Carl?
Of course it can. They're a name and a brand kind of synonymous with, is that the right word? Am I saying that correct?
Synonymous, yeah.
Yeah, with boxing. Everlast have been around for such a long time, and I've been lucky enough that I've been looked after by Everlast with gloves and sponsorship and kit for a number of years now, maybe 3 years, something like that. Their reputation exceeds themselves. They're an amazing brand, and I think it's very good at what they're doing here. Getting behind UK fighters. UK boxing we've got a lot of talent, and it makes sense to push the fighters, and what they're doing for the female fighters as well. I've seen Tasha Jonas, Chantel Cameron, who's in our gym, and Sandy Ryan. But the first three kind of announced there, so that's huge in itself.
Something else that's huge is that your fight is on Channel 5. It's going to go to millions of people in the UK and Ireland. 10 p.m. ring walk. You must be delighted with that, Carl.
Yeah, look, again, thanks to D4G, MTK for getting that deal over the line with Channel 5. And people forget that boxing is a sport for the working man. It's a working class sport, and sometimes it's hidden away on pay-per-view channels, and the numbers, obviously it generates a lot of money on pay-per-view, but the numbers of eyes watching can't compare to what you can get on terrestrial. So to have this many, there's not going to be many people in the arena, but to have this many people have their eyeballs on my fight to make history on Saturday night is absolutely humongous. And I thank Channel 5 for their involvement, and of course D4G and MTK for getting it done.
Could you imagine if a little kid in Belfast watches this, sees you become 3-weight world champion, and then goes to the gym and then writes his own story? That must fill you with joy.
I love that, and you hear stories like that all the time where people are inspired by previous generations, and hopefully, some of the things that I've done in the ring and some of the achievements that I've done and the things I've done in this game as a boxer, hopefully that can achieve the next generation, because I am nothing special. I always think about this, like no, I'm not, because there's kids who beat me in Belfast when I was a kid. So we were the same age, and they beat me, and some of them beat me convincingly. Why are they not where I am now? And the only reason is because they were better than me at the time. The only reason is they didn't have the commitment and the desire that I have. So that's all I have, a bit of desire and, work ethic, all that combined. Bit of luck along the way too. But all that combined can make a good fighter or a good football player or a good whatever you want to be.
Well, Carl Frampton, I really do appreciate your time here on IFL TV here in Dubai. A massive night on Saturday. Just before we go, why does Carl Frampton become 3-weight world champion this Saturday night? And have you got a message to the fans back in the UK and Ireland?
I become a 3-weight world champion because I want to be. I want it so much. I want it more than Jamel Hurain. There's nothing that's going to stop me. I would run through that wall if it meant I was going to be a 3-weight world champion. So that's it.
Carl, appreciate your time here in Dubai. We're going to have a chat after the fight, okay?
Thanks, mate. All the best.